What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Well, the Indianapolis Colts have finally broken the curse. The Colts beat the Pittsburgh Steelers for the first time since 2008. The Colts beat the Steelers by a score of 30-13, and the Colts go to 8-6 squarely in the playoff picture for the AFC. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much. This is me immediately reacting to the game after doing the live stream earlier. If you haven't, be sure to go check that out. I mentioned that I'd be getting this up right after, the stream. So if you guys came from the stream, welcome. If you guys are listening to this a little bit after, also welcome. Glad to have everybody in here. Do me a huge favor. Smash that like button. Turn on the notification bell so that you are in the loop when we drop fresh content just like this. But let's get right into this game, guys. Obviously, a crazy game for the Colts. They start off this game, honestly, a lot of ways like the Cincinnati game went, where the Colts just looked lifeless at times, right? They have the issue right away where Matt Gay misses a field goal, and the Pittsburgh Steelers drive all the way down. They score a touchdown on a fourth down. The Indianapolis Colts come out. They go 3 and out. Pittsburgh blocks their punt and scores another touchdown. Now, fortunately, they missed one of their extra points. So it's 13-0 at that point. Everybody's losing their minds. We're all frustrated. We're all like, this team does not look like a playoff team. They are not playing like they care, right? And then all of a sudden, the Colts start to find some life, right? They start to do a few things. They start to get some guys involved. Right. And even though there are some issues, there's a drop touchdown pass on fourth down by DJ Montgomery. Right. The Colts somehow find a way to come back and they lead 14-13 at halftime. Right. And to give DJ Montgomery credit, he came back on that next drive, had 2 huge catches, had the touchdown to give the Colts the lead. Right. And the Colts came back. And then in that second half is really where we saw them take over. It's quite interesting to me to see the way the Colts responded in the second half this week versus what they did against the Cincinnati Bengals. Because you remember the Indianapolis Colts and the Bengals, they were tied. Remember in that halftime last week, and the Colts come out and they get absolutely trounced by the Bengals in the second half. And what happens in this game? It's complete opposite. The Colts come out, they start to run the football effectively, they start to play great defense, and they score 30 unanswered points in this game. Right, they were down 13-0, and then they didn't allow Pittsburgh to score another point the rest of the game, right? So that is incredible in itself, the fact that the Colts figured some things out, right? I think what's even more incredible is with the players that the Colts were able to do it with, especially on the offensive side of things. I mentioned DJ Montgomery in this game. He wasn't supposed to play, right? Michael Pittman's the main guy for the Indianapolis Colts. He goes out early in that game with a concussion, which I think is just unbelievably terrible targeting play by Kazi. I mean, he deserves to be not just thrown out of that game, but he needs to miss some time. He needs to be suspended. That was the textbook definition, guys, of a helmet-to-helmet targeting play. That was unbelievable. And he completely does that. Zach Moss goes out of the game because of another penalty, another illegal thing from a Pittsburgh player, grabbing the horse collar. He injures his arm. He's out for the game. And so the Colts are down to already having Blake Freeland, the rookie, start at right tackle. They have that. They're down now. They're 2 primary guys on offense, Zach Moss and Michael Pittman. And let's be fair, they played extremely well. They played so well in that second half. Let's get right into it, guys. I mean, it's crazy. Trey Sermon in this game, 17 carries for 88 yards. Tyler Goodson, a guy who was just brought up from the practice squad, 11 carries for 69 yards. So the Colts have over 150 yards rushing. These 2 backs each are averaging 5+ yards per carry. And the Colts just continue to rely on that running game in the second half. And this was something we didn't know if the Colts could do because the last couple weeks, and really even throughout the winning streak, the Colts had struggled to run the football. But Sermon, Goodson, Moss, it didn't matter who. They started running the ball very, very effectively in this game. And it came down to a point in that second half where the Colts were literally driving down the field by running the football every single play. But there was a specific drive in particular where the Colts started at the 16-yard line. and they ran the ball consistently every single play and got all the way down and kicked the field goal, right? And so they were able to run the football very effectively today, establish the line of scrimmage, make the plays when they needed to make them, and they did it without a lot of key guys in this game. And so I want to give a shout out to Shane Steichen. What a great game plan today for the Colts. Pittsburgh came into this game not that great against the run, and the Colts had set out in their mind to run the football and run it down their throats, and they did exactly that in this game. And they were able to really bully the Pittsburgh Steelers all day long, especially in that second half, moving the football down the field. So definitely want to give them a shout out. Sermon, Goodson, both of them looked really, really good in this game. And so want to give them a special shout out. You know, Pittman, before he got injured, he had 4 catches for 78 yards. So again, you hope with that concussion that maybe he can clear with an extra day for the Falcons game. You'd love for him to be back in that game. But then you look at a couple different guys. Montgomery also, he had 2 catches for 48 yards. He had a touchdown. He should have had 2. Mo Ali Cox had 2 catches for 21 yards and a touchdown. Mentioned Zach Moss had that receiving touchdown as well. So the Colts did a lot of good stuff today when it came to their offense and really the team in general. And they really started getting it going in that second half. Gardner Minshew wasn't perfect, but he had a pretty darn good day, I felt like. He had 18 of 28, 215 yards, 3 touchdowns. Guys, going to be honest, he probably should have had at least 5. He had the one that Montgomery dropped in the end zone on 4th down, put it right in his hands. He had another one where Mo Ali Cox dropped it. And so he wasn't perfect. He had a couple high balls today. But Minshew should have probably had 5 touchdowns in this game. That's how well I felt like he was playing and placing the ball in key situations. So definitely want to give him a shout out. He played really well, 123.4 quarterback rated in this game. So he looked really, really good. The Colts didn't use their receivers a ton in this game. I mean, you really think about it, their top guys outside of Pittman, Montgomery, Mo Ali Cox, Zach Moss, and then Josh Downs, right? So not a ton from there, but they didn't really need to also in that second half. They just ran the ball and were very content to do so. So great to see from that standpoint. And then let's talk about this Colts defense. They played exceptionally, and they weren't put in great position all day long, were they? I mean, you think about it. You know, I really blame them only for one drive, and that was that first drive when, you know, they still weren't given great position. You know, Matt Gamis is that field goal, and then Pittsburgh has it, you know, pretty good field position, but they drove all the way down and they scored. And I know it was very close on that 4th down, but they allowed the Pittsburgh Steelers to go down and do what they did. But with that being said, the defense, especially really the second quarter on, lights out today. Absolutely lights out. We got to talk about EJ Speed. I think his best performance of his career today. He led the Colts with 10 tackles. He had a forced fumble. He was everywhere. You clearly missed him last week against the Cincinnati Bengals. This dude is a game changer when he's on, and he was on today. Him and Zaire Franklin were exceptional today. They played extremely well. They did a great job. Dayo Adangbo, once again, another great game for him. A sack and a half. Should have had 2.5 if it wasn't for a holding penalty, you know, that had negated one of the sacks. But a sack and a half for him. Buckner added a half sack. Stewart added a half sack. Ebukam added a sack and a half as well. And so the Colts were consistently getting after the quarterback today. And that's great to see because they weren't doing that against the Cincinnati Bengals at all. So the defense played really well. Definitely great to have Juju Brents back there. He had a couple times where he got a little picked on, but I felt like for the most part, he played really, really well. How about Nick freaking Cross, man? What an interception that he had. He took the ball away from George Pickens in that game. There was a deep ball that Mitchell Trubisky launched. Pickens went back for it, you know, did his thing, and Nick Cross ripped the ball out of his hands. So definitely give that man more snaps. I love to see Nick Cross doing what he's doing right now, man. Julian Blackmon had another interception today, his 4th on the year. He leads the team, his career high. So, yeah, the defense in general, they had a couple rough things at the beginning, but they played exceptional. They played a great game, all things considered. And I know it was against Mitchell Trubisky, but this defense did exactly what they needed to do. They did their job. They shut out the Pittsburgh Steelers, And really, they put their offense in a lot of good positions, right? And they just continue to get after the quarterback and do what they needed to do, disrupt timing, do all these things like that. So absolutely love to see that. And definitely great to get those two players back in speed and also in Juju Brents as well. So they played really, really well. The only thing that I'm really concerned about is Matt Gay, to be completely honest with you. Matt Gay missed 2 field goals today. The good news is for Matt Gay is the fact that he came back and he made a field goal at the end of the game. So hopefully it's just a couple bad weeks here and he's going to be just fine. But I just got to say this, you can't pay a kicker what you're paying him right now for him to go out there and miss some of those field goals he's missing, indoors even. You just can't have that happen. But when you look at this game from a whole, guys, the Indianapolis Colts thoroughly dominated the Steelers. I mean, they dominated the time of possession. The Steelers had it for nearly 27 minutes. The Colts had it over 33. Colts outgained the Steelers 372 yards to 216, and 170 of those were rushing yards, mind you. Colts had 19 first downs, and the Pittsburgh Steelers had 8 penalties, and the Colts only had 2. Colts had 3 sacks, and they had 65 total plays. So the Colts really were doing whatever they wanted today, especially in that second half, and Pittsburgh just could not stop them. The Colts ran the ball. It didn't matter really who had the ball. The Colts made a conscious decision today to run the football, and run the football they did. Want to give a shout out to Blake Freeland as well. Started off really bad. TJ Watt on like that first drive gets the best of Freeland. He gets a sack, but then I felt like he held his own. I felt like he played a lot better, gained a little bit more confidence, and really was mauling guys in the running game. So as bad as it was at times for Blake Freeland, as much lumps as he took and has taken as a rookie, getting this experience is valuable for him. So overall, guys, the Colts win this game pretty convincingly. It's crazy to think that the Colts probably should have won this game by a lot more. They left a lot of points on the field, like I mentioned. 2 field goals that they missed. They had a drop touchdown that they missed. So the Colts probably should have won this game by more than 17. They probably should have won this game by 20 plus. But you know what? A win's a win. You make mistakes. You learn from it. And the Indianapolis Colts, at the end of the day, they are 8-6. They are in the playoff picture, and they did exactly what they needed to do. They took care of business against the Steelers, and ultimately they are 8-6, and they are right in the conversation. So let me know your guys' thoughts overall on this game for the Indianapolis Colts. So many things to talk about. I think the biggest concern for me is Matt Gay and the special teams. They had a few issues today with some kick returns allowed for some pretty good yardage. Missed field goal, obviously. It was interesting to see Isaiah McKenzie not active for this game and Josh Downs getting some work on the return department. I kind of like that idea, to be honest with you, because I feel like he was only a couple tackles away from breaking some, and he had a couple nice ones today. So I'm intrigued to see kind of how that plays out. But guys, let me know your thoughts on this game for the Indianapolis Colts. Like I already said, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Turn on that notification bell so that you are in the loop when we drop fresh content just like this one. But that will do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, guys, go Colts.